And I'd like to call the meeting of the German Township Trustees for the January 10th, 2022 to order. Could you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Heaston, could we have the roll call, please?
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Cross?
Here.
Mr. Stubbs?
Here.
Mr. Potter?
Here.
We are all present.
I'd like to recognize that Road Superintendent Jeremy Holbrook is here with Police Department Chief Joe Enzig and Zoning Inspector Haley Sewell is present, as well as Mr. Heaston. First, we're going to have visitor comments. We do have a visitor, John McManus from the Treasurer's Office. We'd like to welcome him, that he came all the way out here. If you want to go up to the podium, state your name and address, and give us your presentation.
Of course.
Hello, everybody. John McManus. I am the new Montgomery County Treasurer. I've been in office now for about 3.5 months. And by the way, yesterday being Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, thank you for your service, sir. And I certainly appreciate the invitation to come out here and say hello. You know, one of the things that I think was really important was, because I was a former member of a school board, and I really enjoyed the time when the rare occasions when someone from the county or from the state would come out and say hello and just, you know, say, hey, here's what we do and here's how we can help you out. So I wanted to make sure, you know, when I got started to do exactly that. So I've been visiting a lot of the townships, the city councils, the boards of education, just to pass out some contact information and tell you a little bit about what the office does, but also to make sure that you have the tools in case, you know, your constituents reach out to you with questions, especially during tax time. So the county treasurer serves as the county's banker, investment officer, and of course, tax collector, those primarily being property taxes. And so it's been a great 3.5 months, but I wanted to make sure to come out and share a few things with you. I had been asked to bring some information on tax-exempt parcels located in German Township. So I did bring with me here in paper form for you a list of those parcels. There are about 260 of them. Now this information here is actually from the auditor's office. Since the treasurer is the tax collector and the auditor is the assessor, this information is housed with the auditor. But I wanted to make sure to bring it out to you. And just so you can see on the page, just so you know what you're looking at here. Obviously, the parcel ID there towards the left. Parcel ID can be used in either the treasurer's office website or the auditor's office website to look up various information associated with that parcel. And then you'll see total 08, total 09, and total 10. That is merely a heading that is associated with auditor data. Total 08 is the value of the land, 09, value of the structure, and 10 being the total value of the parcel. And just so you know, what I was told is this information is not necessarily the taxable value, but rather the fair market value. And then LUC, that's merely just an internal code. And then I thought you might like to see the registered owner of these parcels. So I'm sure this is information you already know, but so it could be housed in one area so you can see the registered owners. Obviously, by far and away, the largest owner of these tax-exempt parcels in your township is Metro Parks. You can see there are Metro Parks wasn't always called Metro Parks, so you'll see, you know, the Park District, and it used to go by several other names, at least in various databases. So I hope you find this data useful and enjoy it. Certainly, I'm happy to, if you have any additional questions, either Treasurer's Office or the Auditor's Office may be able to answer. I'm happy to bring that information back to you. But as you can see, it's quite a few parcels, about 260 in total. So hopefully you appreciate that information. And like I said, happy to bring you any other information that you may find helpful. So a couple things in addition that I brought with you, brought with me for you. And I'd like to know, one of the things that I always like to bring out when I visit local jurisdictions is kind of a rundown of delinquency data associated with that jurisdiction. When I came into office, I did a very substantial delinquent tax collection effort. It went very well. We collected tens of millions of dollars that was past due. That's really important because that money immediately comes back to who it's owed to, that being the local jurisdiction, school districts, and others. So I generally like to bring kind of some data with me that shows that delinquency data comprehensively to the appropriate jurisdiction. The gentleman who ordinarily prepares those reports, unfortunately, had a death in the family. So upon his return, I will make sure that is compiled for you for your review. But I always find that that's really interesting, just so you as the elected officials can see what we're looking at on our end in terms of how much is delinquent. When I came into office 3.5 months ago, there was in excess of $200 million in delinquent taxes here in Montgomery County. That's a lot of money, obviously. And here in the county, on average, 60 cents of every dollar, goes to the schools. So that's a lot of money that has gone unpaid in some instances for many, many years. So I brought some additional information with me. I know this is probably mainly for constituent services purposes, but in case any of your constituents, whether they own residential parcels, obviously, or commercial industrial, this information can be helpful for those, especially that you serve on a very local level here. So first page here, where it says make paying your property taxes easier. The Treasurer's Office allows for several types of property tax payment methods. Or a series of various methods are automatic withdrawals and monthly billing. What the office has found over the course of many years is, there are some folks in every community who may get behind. And so there are some people who, if you can set them on kind of a monthly schedule, it really helps them stay current. And so the Treasurer's Office, we try and make it as easy for folks as possible. So sending them home with, their annual tax bill broken out into 12 self-returned envelopes if necessary, along with their monthly amounts. This is especially helpful when taxpayers come off of what's called a delinquency contract. So the Treasurer's Office, and this is something we just did, has the authority to sell liens to various lien holders when a parcel is carrying delinquent taxes. And also, my office is responsible for the judicial foreclosures. Obviously, the Treasurer serves as the plaintiff, prosecutor being our attorneys. And so if there are unpaid taxes, that parcel is thereby eligible for either a tax lien sale or a foreclosure. People can come off of those lists if they enter into a delinquent contract with the Treasurer's Office. Now, back in the day, I will tell you, there were people got a lot of contracts offered to them over and over and over again. We've shortened that to essentially 2, unless there's a substantial reason why, because we want to make sure that this is indeed a contract. So we want to make sure that these contracts are honored. But these allow for properties to come off of that lien list or a foreclosure list as long as the owner of the parcel is staying current. So if you have constituents that are really having trouble paying their property taxes and they're asking for help, please know that the Treasurer's Office is happy, willing, and able to assist you and your constituents to help try, get them back on track. And we have tools available for that. Next page is just an example of some of the documentation that is sent home with individuals who are on either a prepayment plan or a delinquent contract with our office. One thing that's always important to note is, if someone's on a delinquent contract and they're paying on their delinquent taxes, they of course still owe their current. So those amounts are built in. Another documentation before you that I wanted to make sure to bring to you is the depositor foreclosure application. So this option is becoming more and more popular, especially with the market how it is. And so I thought I'd bring it to your attention. Depositor foreclosure program is a program administered by the Treasurer's Office. So any parcel that is delinquent is eligible to go through the depositor foreclosure program. This is a application that individuals can fill out to initiate such a foreclosure. Essentially, what a depositor foreclosure is somebody comes in. There's a piece of property that is delinquent. Any property that is tax delinquent is eligible for this program. Somebody can bring in $2,000. They eventually will get that back as long as the property is acquired. And with that $2,000 down payment, it essentially forces the parcel into a judicial foreclosure. It's $3,000, again, which they will get back, assuming that the parcel is transferred in ownership at the sheriff's sale, $3,000 for commercial industrial. So, there are a lot of people out there who say, gosh, there's this property down the street, it's vacant, it's abandoned, the grass is growing all, to past the roof. Is there something we can do about it? And, the answer is yes. This is one of those tools. And this is something that I care deeply about is the quality of neighborhoods. So I wanted to make sure to bring that to your attention, just in case you have constituents, neighbors who say, what can be done about that property down the street? I know I heard that all the time as a board member. I'm sure you probably hear it too. So there are tools available. So these are just, again, some of the constituent services documents that I wanted to bring out to you, just in the event that your constituents reach out with questions about property taxes. I also brought this right here, which is some basic contact information about the office and some of the divisions that we have. So the Treasurer's Office is comprised of 4 separate divisions. Taxpayer services, where people can get on prepayment plans, where your constituents can have their questions answered if they're trying to undergo a certain transaction. Cash management, those are the personnel who obviously take the payment, but also are responsible for, in large part, balancing the accounts. And then tax delinquency. Obviously, they are responsible for parcels that are deemed delinquent. And Montgomery County has, like I said, $200 million that are taxes that are delinquent. So I'm really proud of the work that the Treasurer's Office is doing. I will tell you, I visit with treasurers all across the state to learn best practices. We all come together, and I enjoy hearing about how other treasurers run their office. I will tell you, I've been so proud of the employees there. They are balancing the books down to the penny every single day. And it's a lot of money that moves through the county. The office is responsible for collecting in excess of $900 million, annually in property taxes. Got an investment account worth about $700 million that's invested to earn a return, and, as well as a county budget of almost $900 million. So the fact that the internal controls are in place that make sure that the integrity, that the funds are being managed with integrity, making sure that our books are balanced every single day, making sure that we have all the right controls in place so that we can be sure that our money is that all of our money is protected and managed well. it's a wonderful operation, and very proud to be serving as your treasurer. More than anything, I want to make sure that you and your constituents know if there are questions you have, if I can ever be of service, or any staff members at the treasurer's office, or if you need any information from the county, quite frankly, whether it's in my office or not, I'm happy to work with you to make sure you get answers to help you better, more efficiently, do what you're trying to do out here in German Township. And again, thank you for the invitation. I've really enjoyed getting out to all the different jurisdictions and just saying hello and making sure you know how to get in touch with the treasurer's office if you need us. And by the way, y'all are welcome anytime to come up there if you'd like to learn more about our operations, see what we do in person, so you can better understand how the money moves around, how we account for everything. By the way, I'm very impressed with that safe. We have a couple in our office, but that one is better looking. So thank you. And I also gave you my card, so you are free to reach out to me at any time. Any questions? If you have any questions now, I'm happy to answer them. Like I said, I've been in there 3.5 months. I may not have all the answers, but I will get them to you if I don't know.
A question, depositor foreclosure, so they put down say it's a residential property, put down the $2,000, that moves it into foreclosure so they possibly can buy it at the sheriff's sale?
That is correct. That is correct. So it goes to a sheriff's sale. So even though, your neighbor may say, I want to go in and I want to put down the $2,000 to get that parcel forced into a judicial foreclosure, that person may or may not get it at the sheriff's sale, because the sheriff's sale is indeed an auction. So somebody can swoop in at the last minute and buy it right out from under you. And even if that is the case, the applicant will still have that initial deposit returned to them, which is nice. So nobody's really losing that money, unless, of course, the property just does not move at all. But it's a fantastic tool, one that's available to anyone. So I hope that's of use to you, sir.
Now, this list is only for German Township.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct, absolutely.
It's interesting, again, all the parcels, because basically the last information I have, between Five Rivers Metro Park, Miami Conservancy District, and Montgomery County Park District, a total of 2,443 acres is now owned by the Park District.
Wow.
So
I did look at the map.
That's the tax loss.
Right.
Tax loss.
I did look at the map of various tax-exempt parcels in German Township, and it was interesting to see, where those parcels are located. I thought what was interesting too about especially some of the parcels that are under the name of the Park District, some are outright owned. It seems like there is a trend, and again, I'm not with the parks, I don't want to speak for them, I'm just showing what I observed. There seems to be a trend where some of these parcels are, rather than outright owned, there's kind of a trend to enter into not a leasehold, but or a easement or a covenant situation, where that parcel then isn't necessarily taken off of the tax roll.
That's like the Three Rivers Trust.
Right. Yes. So
that's what that is.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's an organization that'll come in and say they'll pay the landowner the commercial value of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then it puts it in a trust that can only be used for farmland. It can be sold any time, but it can never be split up, and it can never be used for nothing else. That's the Three Rivers Trust.
That's great. Thank you for that. And I will tell you too, as a former school board member, and I reside in Centerville now, but I used to be a resident of Dayton. And you look at downtown Dayton, 70% of it is not paying taxes. It's either tax exempt or it's under a current abatement. And so, as a board member who's counting on those funds, it's difficult to look at the map and say, oh my gosh, all these parcels, that money's not coming to the school district. So, no, I understand, absolutely. And but I hope at least the data is helpful.
The problem with that is every year they keep buying more land. That's hard.
Gotcha.
Keep taking it out.
Right.
And of course, they said they was only going to go along Glen Creek, and now they're jumping roads. Which I rather have the park than the houses, but we still need the tax buyer.
Right.
That's issue here.
Well, and like I said.
I know you have nothing to do with it.
I don't want to overstep and speak for another agency, but I at least wanted to make sure that the information that I had available, was brought to you, so that.
Very much appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes, very much appreciate it.
Well, it's, anything else, gentlemen,
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you forget to mention when you're gonna implement the same program they've got in Warren County for taxes?
I don't want to overspeak here, but I did read that article, and it was very nice, where there was a property tax holiday.
Yeah.
And that's not up to the treasurer, that's something the commissioners have
I
to,
think Hamilton County picked it up too.
did they? I haven't seen that, but, I did read that, yes.
I thought maybe you forgot.
No. No, I most certainly did not forget. And that's not something I can do unilaterally, but I did read it, and, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice. So, that's about all I can say. But, no, it's an honor, being in this role, and like I said, it's really important to me to make sure that, local jurisdictions know, A, what the office can do for your constituents, and B, that we're here to help in any way possible. So you come up anytime, and if your constituents, you're always welcome up there to come up and get more information or see how we operate, and just a phone call away.
Thank you very much for coming out,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you, absolutely, and thank you again for your service.
You're welcome to stay, but you probably don't.
I'd love to, I love this, yes. Oh, I made sure to pass them out. I believe it.
Do we have any other visitor comments? Anybody online?
I will.
We have 5 people online.
Oh, we got more than that now.
Well, there's 3 that are part of us.
Oh, yeah.
We have 5 outside of this group.
I
So
give
any-
everybody the invite, so.
So any more visitor comments? No? Okay, let's go on, move to the fiscal officer's report, Mark.
Let me turn on my camera. Sorry. All right. Good evening again, everyone. First of all, thank you, John, for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you that day at Auditor Chief's update, and so it all worked out well. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, sir.
I have not had a chance to complete the minutes from our last 2 meetings on December 30th and on, what dates did I put in here? December 30th and January 4th. I will have those completed and we can approve them at the February meeting. I did give you the final December financial reports. What you reviewed on December 30th was obviously preliminary. The only changes from those reports to now is the $2,000 check that you approved to, for Sunshine in a Bag, a donation from the Fouts Trust Fund, and also the month-end interest from First National Bank and from Star, Ohio. But since we do have one more payment, I think I'm going to ask you to once again approve the final financial reports and then reauthorize all those payments in December, which now would include one more warrant, and that is the Sunshine the Bag. So it's warrants 50536 through 50546, and vouchers 935 to 1041.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the final December financial reports and reauthorize the payment of December bills, warrants 50536 through 50546, and vouchers 935 through 1041 for payroll, direct deposit, tax withholding, and other electronic payments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right. Last month, following your approval, I did request from the county auditor the certificate of funds that would be received by the 1 mil 5-year renewal of the senior citizens levy. We did receive that certification, which I sent to you. This levy will generate $177,938 annually at 95%, which is what the auditor always estimates. So the next step for you to do tonight is to pass a resolution to place the levy on the May 3rd ballot for the entire township, both incorporated and unincorporated. And I gave you the resolution language, and it's my suggestion that someone read it in its entirety, and that can be me if you want me to.
What number is that, Mark?
That is going to be number 2022-09.
I'll go ahead and introduce resolution 2022-09, a resolution determining to proceed to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation. Whereas the Board of Trustees of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, have determined that it is necessary to levy a tax outside of the 10 mil limitation for German Township, and whereas the Board of Trustees of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, propose that said tax be a renewal levy for the providing or maintaining senior citizen service or facilities as specified in Section 5705.19Y of the Ohio Revised Code. And whereas the levy shall be at a rate of 1 mil for each dollar valuation, which amounts to 10 cents for each $100 of valuation, for a period of 5 years commencing in 2022, first due in the calendar year 2023. And whereas the county auditor has certified the total current valuation of the unincorporated and incorporated area of German Township and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by the proposed levy annually, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, 2/3 of all members elected or appointed thereto concurring. Section 1, that the Board of Trustees of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby determined to proceed with the renewal levy. The question of said tax levy shall be submitted to the electors of the unincorporated and incorporated portions of German Township at the primary election to be held on May 3rd, 2022. If said tax is approved by a majority of said electors, such tax levy shall first be placed upon the 2022 tax list and duplicate for first collection in calendar year 2023. Section 2, the fiscal officer of the Board of Trustees of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, be and is hereby directed to certify a copy of this resolution to the Board of Elections, Montgomery County, Ohio, not less than 90 days before the late date of said election upon which it will be voted, and to notify said Board of Elections to cause notice of election on the question of levying the said tax to be given as required by law.
Thank you. Is there a second to resolution 2022-09? Second. Any discussion of the resolution? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Dr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mr. Potter?
Yes.
Resolution 2022-09 is adopted. Okay, back in March last year, the trustees approved a $4,000 transfer from the general fund to the Road and Bridge Fund, number 2031. And that was representing an approximate payment for mowing and trimming the rural cemeteries by the road department last year. An additional $10,000 transfer was also approved last year to compensate for prior years. It was intended that this $4,000 transfer occur annually. I did include a $4,000 transfer as part of the appropriation resolution that you approved at the January 4th meeting. I think in order to allow me to post that transfer, I would like you to approve a resolution, and we'll make that 2022-10.
I'll introduce resolution 2022-10, a resolution approving the transfer of $4,000 for 2022 from Fund 1000 General to Fund 2031 Road and Bridge as payment for the maintenance of township cemeteries by the road department.
Is there a second to resolution 2022-10?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Dr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Stubbs?
Yes.
And Mr. Potter?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution 2022-10 is adopted.
Pardon me, Haley, somebody.
there something we need to take
Nope.
care? Okay,
Okay.
all right. This is the big one for this evening. As you know, the U.S. Treasury Department issued its final rule on the American Rescue Plan Act funding just 4 days ago on January 6th. And the final rule significantly broadens the eligible uses of the ARPA funds for Ohio townships. And in the most significant change, the final rule includes an option for ARPA recipients to elect to either calculate its revenue loss or, and this is important, adopt a standard allowance. That allowance is capped at $10 million, which is a number that doesn't matter to us. But the final rule expressly acknowledges that the standard allowance will be most helpful for smaller entities such as our township. So as long as the township consistently elects to utilize the standard allowance, we may use our ARPA funds, which are going to total $303,149.58, which is obviously substantially below the $10 million cap. We can use that for the provision of government services. And again, as a reminder, these funds are to be used to cover costs from March 8th of 2021 through December 31st, 2024, and must be spent by December 31st of 2025. Now, going on further, this final rule states that the services provided by the township are assumed to be government services unless specifically listed otherwise. And it actually defines government services as including, but not limited to, quote, maintenance or pay-go funded building of infrastructure, including roads, modernization of cybersecurity, including hardware, software, and protection of critical infrastructure, health services, environmental remediation, school or educational services, and the provision of fire, police, and other public safety services, end quote. So in order to properly use the standard allowance, whenever we decide what we're going to use the ARP money for, your resolution approving that expenditure must specifically mention that we're using the standard allowance as defined by the final rule. And that will tie out the expenditure to that option when we go through our audit every 2 years. So this is actually the good news that we've been hoping for. We were assuming it was going to come, but it's been several months to get it to this point. But it now allows us to expand how we use ARP funds way beyond the initial categories. And those categories were and still are four. One, to respond to the public health emergency or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, or to aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. That is still one of the four criteria. Two, for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue due to the COVID-19 public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most recent full fiscal year prior to the emergency, which was 2019. That is what has changed and what is now including the standard allowance. So that one is far expanded from where it was. Third one was to respond to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay to eligible workers. And the fourth one, to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. And importantly, the final rule retained one item or several items that were non-permitted uses of the ARPA funds. But the most significant one to us is we are not allowed to use those funds for the payment of interest or principal on any outstanding debt. Now, earlier today, I attended a webinar presented by the U.S. Treasury Department to talk about the final rule and how it would affect us as recipients. And pretty much everything I've just read to you is exactly what they told us in the webinar. We can use the standard allowance up to $10 million. under the public health category, they have broadened the set of eligible uses, which would include capital expenditures related to public health. 3, the premium pay has just broadened the category of essential workers. And in water, sewer, and broadband, one of the new things they've added is lead remediation, as well as expanded what can be used for stormwater. But under the revenue loss category, they specifically talked about road building and purchasing police vehicles. And they also, under the restrictions, talked about you can't use it for debt service, rainy day funds, judgment, conflict of interest issues. It cannot also be used to put into pension funds, and it cannot be used to reduce any tax revenue. Sorry, we can't do a tax holiday.
Not using that money.
Not using that money anyway. So that is what we know about it. I think this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. And I think we can now begin to talk about how we want to use this $300,000. We have 150 odd thousand we've already received. The second half will come probably in August or September. And by that point, you may be ready to decide how it gets used.
And we can get reimbursed for money that we've already spent in the past.
No, this would be new spending, or.
I thought it was back to 2019.
Well, and the answer is if we had something that fell into the categories
Right.
after whatever that date was in 2021, March 8th, yes, we could use it for that.
At least
Yes, probably so. Probably so. You bought both of them after March, didn't you?
I believe so.
it might help.
We'd have to go back and look, but I believe so.
We might have to, however we use this money, I will ask the prosecutor
Absolutely.
to give us.
But I would like to see how we can be reimbursed for stuff we've already spent.
Well, that's an excellent point to raise.
Mark, I have a quick question. When you, during your meeting on the ARP money, did they talk about, or did they define lost revenue, like beyond gas tax is the only thing I can think of that would be lost revenue?
For us, that would probably be the primary one.
Right.
But it might not be the case with municipalities who have income tax revenue. Because of the unemployment that happened, certainly during 2020 into early 2021.
Will that tie up any of this money? If they're calling it lost revenue from gas tax, does that mean that's where that money needs to go back?
It can be used for any government purpose.
Just trying.
I know.
Grasping at straws.
It could be used to put into the gas tax fund.
Right.
But it can be used for anything.
Okay.
And we don't have to do that calculation if we elect to use the standard allowance.
Do you have any idea what the standard allowance is?
Up to $10 million. So we can use the whole
303, okay.
fall under, we can put it in the category of revenue replacement, the whole 300,000.
Okay. And then it can fall under any one of those.
It can be used for any government purpose.
Okay. That you listed.
Except those few that I mentioned that it cannot be used for.
So, I mean, theoretically, when they talk about maintenance, could that be maintenance including roads?
Yes. It can be used for roads. It can be used for purchases of fixed assets, such as police vehicles. Under different category, it could be used for some premium pay for the police department, maybe the road department. There were many options that we now have, many more than what we had before the final rule was issued.
And just to bring, we had concentrated on trying to increase our broadband access in the township. And at least the research I've done, the people I've talked to, I don't really think that's going to be a viable use of it.
It's unfortunate because there is a need.
There is
but
a need.
It would be difficult.
I think, again, and Mr. Groen sent me a good article. Really, this is something that it's such a big project, the federal government is gonna have to be involved. Pretty much like that from looking since the two. They have really dropped the ball as occurred during the COVID. So this is very good news for, possibly for the police department and for
Just while we're talking about that real quick, I don't know if you're aware, but Fairpoint Communications has been sold.
right.
And some inside information that I've got said that the new owners are planning on expanding fiber, like doing a huge fiber expansion over the next 3 years. So,
Perfect.
you know,
And I was gonna
that's
mention,
just
in my
talk, but, you
basically
know,
what Greene County just announced is that Cincinnati Bell and Greene County are doing a 3-year project to basically add fiber optic cable to the eastern part of the county, the rural part of the county. But again, so that's a public-private,
right.
which, you know, if it's more private, great for us. Yeah.
Right.
I'll hold my breath on that one.
Yeah, I mean, keep your fingers crossed.
Thanks, Mark, for all the work on that, too.
Okay, well, we can continue to talk about these in the ensuing months. We certainly don't have to do anything quickly, because we do have until the end of 2024 to encumber these funds for some purpose. But by the time we get the second tranche in August, September, I would think by then you're going to want to move forward shortly thereafter. And if it's something that goes partly to roads, we probably use it the next summer. If it's police, it could be used however. So, okay, moving on. Did we have someone join us on? Yes. Let me make that notation for my minutes. Okay. For a number of years, the trustees and the fiscal officer have received their salary once a month with payment on the 15th of each month. Back in 2020, when I started, I switched my payroll to semi-monthly because I felt it really wasn't appropriate for me to receive a full month's pay on the 15th of the month when I hadn't worked half the month yet. And I did not, up until now, have not said anything to the trustees about your salaries, but I thought since we're starting a new year, this would be a good opportunity to think through that same issue for the trustees. Would you like to consider moving to a semi-monthly and you get 2 paychecks? Or if not, I would suggest you consider having your pay on the last day of the month instead of on the 15th. And if you decide to do something tonight, we'll do it by resolution.
I'm fine with one payment at the end of the month versus.
There's no reason to do 2.
There's no reason.
So either stay the same or go to the end of the month, and I don't see a issue either way.
But in order to do that change, let's do Resolution 2022-11.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Resolution 2022-11 to change from a monthly mid-month payment to a monthly at the end payment for the fiscal officer and the trustees. Is there a second to Resolution 2022-11?
Second.
Any discussion?
Does that include you, the fiscal officer, as well? Are you gonna be paid one? That's what I was wondering.
I just heard that, so I will. I'll make my month end one time.
Fine with that?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
All right, didn't count this coming up.
The checks will bounce, that's fine. She believes me.
No, they won't.
Okay, any discussion of the resolution? If not, I'll call the roll. Dr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Stubbs?
Yes.
And Mr. Potter?
Yes.
All right. I think that just makes more sense. So, very good. All right, just quickly summarizing where we are on the JED. Back on December 16th, I was part of a conference call with the JED attorney, Brenda Waymer. On that call was Farmersville Mayor Nick Lamb, Germantown Council Member Brian Wassig, Germantown City Manager Judy Gilliland, and Jackson Township Fiscal Officer Lisa Kazarek. The purpose of that call was to discuss the process of getting the JED placed on the May 3rd primary ballot for not only our township, but also for Jackson Jefferson Township, because when their trustees voted, it was a 2-0-1, the same vote as our trustees had. And then a few days later, I had a subsequent conversation with Ms. Waymer concerning some minor changes, including one that you brought up, Dr. Cross, the night that we voted on it, that I felt needed to be made to the JED resolution, typos and so forth. We made those changes. On December 28th, I sent the certified resolution to the prosecutors, and for their approval of the resolution language, and also for them to prepare the ballot language. And earlier today, I did receive both from them, so I'm now in a position to send the JED issue to the Board of Elections to be placed on the May ballot. So we will have two issues on the May ballot. We will have the JED, and we will have senior citizens levy, and both will be in the incorporated and unincorporated areas.
So when do we need to make that resolution to put that on the ballot, or do we?
We've already done that.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, that we don't have to do that because the vote itself took care of it. There's no further resolution that's needed for the JED to go on the ballot. It was just a matter of getting the process with Brenda and the prosecutors. Okay, my last item is simply that I did submit the paperwork to obtain the employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty insurance through OTARMA, and that was effective January 1st. We canceled all the elected official bonds, and I also canceled the Southern and Trustee Insurance surety bond to cover all other township employees as of January 1st. Everyone is under this new employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty insurance. And I'm still waiting for my refund, partial refund on my fiscal officer bond, but that should be coming at some point. And with that, I am done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. We have the police department report.
In December, I brought to the board's attention the indigent cremation program that Lindsay Rathjay of Newcomer Funeral Home contacted me about, and she just wished to know if German Township had or wished to create an ICP. To my knowledge, we do not have one. She explained it that typically $300 to $500 is set aside by local governments for the less fortunate who have a need for cremation services. And she added that Newcomer cremates on site. I do not know if our local funeral homes offer the same programs. But typically, I think she told me that cremation was somewhere in the range of $600 to $800, somewhere in there. And they offered it for a lower price for those indigent people that were backed by a municipality or a township. I only bring it back up because it was on my report last month, and we now have a new board, and I don't know if it's something you guys would be interested in, or we have plenty of time. I just want to put it back in your minds.
I'd like to address that. I have a friend of mine who has that service, cremation service. So I called him today and asked him about that on your report. And he, from my understanding, if an indigent happens in your township or city, that city or township is responsible to have that taken care of. Mark, have we ever had any that we've had to pay to have that cremation done?
Not in my time.
Not in your time.
And I'm not aware of any in recent years. And certainly the police chief and Mr. Holbrook have enough years experience, they probably would know.
He tells me that he does Middletown, Butler County, Montgomery County. He's the man in Carlisle. And he said that don't have to have no contract, or just, it wouldn't hurt to go talk to somebody and maybe make an arrangement or a contract of some sort in case that was to happen, so you'd have a plan, but there's no need to put any money out. He said normally it's $500–600, but we could get a price from them, and then we can get a price from the man in Carlisle, Trinity, I think it's called. And then if that situation was to come up, we would have a plan. there's no reason to put any money out ahead of time.
It's a small enough amount that the general fund can certainly absorb it when,
Right.
if there should ever be that situation.
We know who to call and we have a plan.
Yeah, I agree. I think keep it simple. I don't think we need to make that any more complicated. So I just can't see doing anything.
And we've got 2 local funeral homes that I'm assuming we deal with if something were to happen.
Well, we'd want to go straight, going to the funeral home, so then there'd be an additional charge.
Gotcha.
We would go straight to the crematory.
I spoke with Trustee Stubbs earlier and told him, I don't know, even if someone was to be cremated, if they were indigent, they probably have no other family, then what do you do with their ashes? Does our local cemetery, I know it has a potter's field, would then there be a cost to bury the ashes in that potter's field? So there could be a lot more to it.
I can find out more information.
But I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, especially since Mr. Cross is back on the board. And like I said, I was reviewing my reports from last month, and it was there, so I wanted to bring it up again. Other than that, I have nothing.
Well, I think that if that should arise, we could handle it again. We're not talking about a huge expense. Thanks, Chief. Road Department report?
A couple things tonight real quick. One, I wanted to let you be aware of the township water softener. It softens all the water in the building. We were having some issues with it regenerating, still putting some iron in the fixtures. After taking a look at it, the timer has started to leak, so it's going to need a full rebuild. They recommend to change the resin out once every 10 years. It's over 14 years old now. The cost of the parts is going to need a new injector, and like I said, all new seal kits. It was almost cheaper to buy the whole new unit. So we ended up ordering a new unit that was a little bit larger in capacity than the one that we have currently, for a price of $688. And we got that today, and we're hoping to have it in by the end of the week. So just to let you be aware of what's going on with the water, why there's starting to see some staining in the toilets and the sinks and the urinals and that sort of thing. So the only other thing is, I didn't put it in my report, but the ADT has been repaired. I sent out an email, and the guy that came out and did the service, great job. We did get really quality service. I think there were several problems. One problem was the power supply for the actual ADT control unit probably got knocked out when we had that lightning strike and just went unnoticed because it's stuffed back in a closet back in the back, with nobody looking at it all the time. The other problem is when we changed our phone lines, that pretty much did away with their connection to basically the outside, the ADT. So with those two problems, it was Mark and I were here trying to make the decision on whether we wanted to go ahead and replace all the hardware and go to a cellular setup. And by the time we were halfway through our conversation, the guy was walking out to get the equipment. He says, "Don't worry about it. It's easier for me just to do it this way." So there's no charge. We have all new equipment. There's no increase in monthly fees. So yeah, it really turned out well in our favor. So
It's now digital, right?
yes, it is. It's cellular now. So yeah, they don't rely on our connection to. So if we lose our internet or our phone lines for some odd reason, those will still function. They function independent of anything else other than. Well, no, they're even on battery backup, so it wouldn't matter if it lost power either. So that was taken care of. One other quick thing is the road department had a claim through our insurance, Perso, which is under Otarma. They actually handle the claims for a window chip. Perso covers 100% of that, so we took it over to, it was in the red Chevrolet one-ton pickup truck. Scott and I were on the way to a job somewhere, and I don't know where the stone come from, a passing car, and it landed right directly in the middle of the windshield. took it over to Safe Light, had it repaired, and turned the information over to Perso. So we should be getting a check to reimburse that cost. They pay 100% of that. So, other than that, I think that's all I have.
Testing on the panic buttons. Do we need to do that regularly, or is it something that?
That's up to the board, and I told Haley I don't have access to her office. So, I mean, if she would feel more comfortable testing it once a month, all she's got to do is call ADT, let them know that she was getting ready to test it, and set it off, and then she can be on the phone with them, and they say, yes, we see it, reset it. I mean, it takes a total of 5 minutes.
That may be something.
The new system does, from what I understood, and we didn't get the guy that did our service through ADT didn't go into great detail, but the new system routinely, quote unquote routinely, because I'm not sure of what schedule it uses, pings back and forth to make sure it has a connection. So it will actually go out and talk to the computer at ADT's facility and check back and forth to make sure it has a good connection. And he said that, he did tell me that if the connection was lost for some reason, either a dead battery, problem with the cellular unit, problem with the control unit, it would start beeping continuously until we reset it. So he said sometimes when the cell companies do work on the cell towers, you'll have a blip in cell service where you actually drop a call or something like that. That will go off continuously, and I have the code to reset it. He said, check that first and make sure that's wasn't the problem. It was just a loss in cell signal. And if it continues to go off, then we need to call and have service come out.
Is it something you can hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in that back hallway where all the police and the road department go in and out frequently. So it's not hidden somewhere where no one will ever hear it. So it's just hidden in a closet where no one looks. So
One more question. The ice on Mudlick, did you ever get that worked out, or I know that Lloyd had brought that up?
I had talked to Lloyd about it at the last meeting, and we actually, a couple of years ago, went in there and dipped out to the west of that gentleman's driveway to try to force that water back off the road. And we actually went out this morning and resalted the heck out of it this morning. But it's almost like the water is seeping out of the ground right at the connection of his driveway and the roadway. So it's not even it doesn't have time, or it doesn't have the pressure or the gravity is not wanting to take it back in the ditch. It's just wanting to flow out on the thing. So other than trying to go in there and put either a French drain or some sort of perforated tile or something like that, it's probably going to have to cross his driveway, which means we'll have to re-asphalt his driveway, the end of his driveway before we disturb it. But probably going to have to look into doing something. It's getting pretty bad. This weather is bad for it anyways, because once it gets cold and we get rid of it, then it just stays frozen.
It warms up and rains, and then,
yeah.
It does seem a little worse this year than in the past.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring that up.
No, that's all I have.
Thanks, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
We have a zoning department report now?
Yes, I do want to talk about those panic buttons real quick. It was on my report anyways. I can test them the second Monday of the month. That's only 12 times a year. Here anyways.
If you're
So,
comfortable with that, whatever.
yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then we will know something right away. If anything's wrong, I can report that night at the meeting.
You want that number, Haley?
Yeah, can you email it to me?
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like my report, I sent you all the BZA and the zoning commission attendance for 2021. I did not get any questions back, so that is the official attendance for those members for last year.
You mentioned a spreadsheet. Do I need that before I pay them?
No.
Did you say you've attached a spreadsheet, so I didn't?
So there was a spreadsheet with it that just showed which meetings they attended with the dates.
So
But-
I don't need that, but you didn't include that. I will get those payments.
Awesome, thank you.
And Mr. Scholler, again, does not want paid.
He has not said one way or another.
I'll check with him.
Okay. Also, I sent out all of the permits for 2021. Did anybody have any questions about any of those? There was a bunch of them. Okay. Upcoming zoning board meetings, we have the organizational meeting for both boards tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Following that meeting, we do have a hearing for a lot split in variance on Creek Road. I have that scheduled for 8 p.m. Hopefully the organizational meeting is done by then. Some upcoming changes to the board, as Mr. Cross is here now. We do have his seat available for the alternate position on the zoning commission. We will be having an advertisement in the Germantown Press starting this Thursday. I did send that over. We've already talked about the panic buttons, and last but not least, the Valley View Local School District project. They are getting ready to submit their application to the zoning department for the new building.
So you met with the project manager, or who did you?
Yes, the project manager. I can't remember the company that they've contracted with. They're super nice. Sorry? They're super nice. He's been very interested in definitely doing everything, the right way. I give him options, and he comes back with questions. I give him answers, and together, I think that we've come up with the best route for both the new school and the township. As far as before, they were going to combine all of the parcels. Now, I believe that they are going to only combine the, it would be the most southern parcel, so the new big empty piece of farmland and the parcel that the house is on that they bought, and then keep the current separate.
You say when you hope to break ground?
No, because I tell everybody when they start going through this process that it could take anywhere from 30 to 90 days to get through this process, just because of the notification and the legal hoops that I have to jump through to advertise and such for that entire project. And then, of course, it has to go through the board and get approved because they will be getting approved, well, potentially getting approved for conditional use and variances.
And if you could, if your next meeting include me, but basically I'd like to see that information you've got so far.
Absolutely, yeah.
Will it eventually have to come to the trustees for final approval, or does it get
No.
completed by the BZA?
So it will be completed by the BZA.
Is that it?
And that is it.
Let's move on to the trustee reports. Mr. Potter, do you have anything to report?
I did not have any.
Mr. Stubbs?
Couple things. Back to your zoning report.
Yep.
Just a heads up, I saw it online that the Miami Township Party Barn is back in the courts again.
Okay.
So just a heads up.
Awesome, thank you.
It's the agritourism
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I actually saw the same article, and I actually went ahead for informational purposes, forwarded that to the zoning commission just to see.
Okay.
How that's going.
And then also,
ongoing.
yeah, so that's going on, and then they're putting a Dollar General.
Yes.
You see that one on Keister and Germantown, Middletown, not ours.
Not
but
ours.
Just a heads up.
But I have had so many emails.
Well, because the
for
article
them.
kept saying Germantown. And it's
Right.
not Germantown.
Mm-mm.
Germantown. Well, yeah. it's
However-
Germantown Road, but it kept saying Germantown is the location.
However, Keister now has a Germantown address.
Is that why they were? Okay.
Probably, yeah.
So that's another thing just to
That's-
keep a heads up on. It's
Yep.
Not, again, not our problem.
Right.
It's something that could, in a roundabout way affect us at some point.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Cemetery, they've completed all the work that was donated by, the Dutz family at the entrance. The entryway has all been taken care of. And we will have an, lean-to on the end of our barn, hopefully next month I can report. So, the pool, we upgraded the pump house, made it safer. There was a chemical mixing issue that we've been able to take care of. It was causing safety issues. We're working on that, or it'll be done for this pool season. WRCG, which is the Rumpke Trash group we're in, we're going to meet either this month or next. I need to get a notification out to everyone to reorganize and get started for this year. Jeremy, question, HVAC unit. Mr. Cleveland brought this up at the last meeting. Do you know if we have a service plan on that, or what we do?
I think we have a service contract with Air Force One.
Do you know how often they come?
Twice a year, I believe.
Twice a year. Okay.
They should come for an air conditioning and then for a heating.
I think they change filters at both those.
With the Air Force One is who we've been using,
Right, yeah.
so. Okay. OTA, I plan on attending the OTA. I already booked I reserved my room and registered for the conference, so I look forward to attending. And I will be doing my sunshine law training up there as well, which is offered this time.
Jeremy, on that point, sorry, Jay.
Anything with a J, I'm good.
All right.
Yes.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know that the records retention is full, but I can't recall whether I signed up for that or not when I registered. Is there a way that we can verify that? Do you know?
I don't know. I did it right away I haven't checked back in a month, so.
I would just call the OTA.
Yeah.
And see that.
I need to do that because I had planned to do that too, and if I didn't register,
Yeah,
it's too late.
okay. I didn't realize it had filled up, so.
That's filled up.
Completely full.
So yeah, that's good to get out of the way at the beginning of the term. A couple things, goals I had for 2022 and beyond. We talked about a little bit earlier, the money for COVID being relaxed, I guess, the rules. I had down, find a way to use our tower for over-the-air internet. We had a company reach out to us not too long ago, and I was having a lot of trouble getting answers back from the prosecutor's office. So that's definitely something I would want to look into if possible. But if we're going to have broadband run through the township or fiber, that may not be a priority. With the money we're saving on the trustee salary, at least for this year, maybe next, or however long it goes on, I would like to think about paying off the water and sewer district debt a little bit early, if possible. I know our general fund, if we can pay 1 or 2 payments early and get us out of that a year or so early would be ideal, if possible. And another thing I was looking at, currently we take the money we receive for the cell tower rental, and that goes into the general fund, maybe corresponding with paying off the water district debt, or maybe not, switching that tower rental money back to the PD, which we had used for dispatching fees originally, to help offset the cost for dispatching. Just something to think about, is what I came up with. So it's nice to be on a board with 3 people that care. That hasn't happened in a while. And I look forward to continuing and making the best decisions for this township. And that's all I have tonight.
What's the interest rate we're paying with the water and sewer board?
2%.
So, yeah.
I can't remember, but.
I think it was 2%.
So we're getting total interest from our other accounts that it probably would be advisable to maybe pay that off early with 2%. I don't, we'd have to decide.
I mean, we don't get 2% on our money sitting in the checking account, so.
I just don't like that being out there. I know it goes through 2025.
It does.
If we could get a year off of that or so.
We have about 84,000 left.
And move on.
Well, if we could get some reimbursement from this APR money,
Well, that's outstanding debt, so we
Yeah, you
can't.
can't use it for that.
I can't tie it to the debt
I know you
payment.
can't, but it's reimbursed.
And that
For
actually,
something we've already spent, it would just be in the general fund at that.
that did bring up one more question. You had said a couple months ago you got a public records request for the water tower. Is there any action or anything on the water tower from the school district?
I've heard nothing since I sent the information to, Mr. Depew.
Okay.
That's it?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. Got a couple of things. I ordered and received the Ohio Township Association source books on trustees, zoning, and personnel, just to give us new copies. So they'll be in the trustee room if you haven't used them for reference. And if you guys, anybody else wants to use them, certainly we have no problem, kind of loaning them out to you if you want to. There is some interesting information in there.
What was the cost of it?
I think it was $60 for all three, so it was, I just donated those, so. Is there any update on using the credit cards for the zoning trash payments, or can we drop that consideration for now? It was discussed last year, I know, but it never seemed to go anywhere.
So if I can say something about that, we are the only entity in our community, I'll say, that does not have it.
Does not have what, pay for
Credit card option available, yeah.
I mean, I think what's underwhelming as far as the survey is, for or against it.
Yeah.
I think unless, to avoid, and again, to keep it simple, I think we just keep the same system at least for now. That's just my discussion. So again, for the OTA, we have to use the township credit card to pay for our hotel bill, so we get that tax exemption. So we figured that. Lou, you're not staying at the hotel? Just Jake and I.
And you have a credit card, Mr. Stubbs,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
I do not.
You do not, but you can take mine.
Okay. That way we don't have to search each other out for to pay.
We'll need, are you going this year?
I am going, but I'm not staying overnight.
We'll need the,
Have the-
it's signed by you one of the days you're there.
Yeah, can you do that in advance?
I don't know. What is it that
The hotel gives a form.
Hotel tax exemption
Yeah.
form, it's H-3GOV.
If you want to check with the hotel, maybe they could email one out to us.
You can get it on the OTA.
Yeah.
If you go to the OTA winter conference, it'll.
The form is there?
Mhm.
Yeah, the form is there, so I wonder if you can.
It's a
fill it out
fillable
before-
PDF.
Before we leave, and give it to us, that was search for you.
Sure.
I'm planning on attending the regular Germantown Council meetings to facilitate better communication between the city and the township. And I went to the last meeting on 1/3/22. There wasn't a whole lot going on. They swore in several of the members. They didn't pick anybody for the oversight boards because two of the council members were absent, so they decided to table that. So we really don't know what's going on here. Bonnie Kugel did report on the Senior Citizen Center. They need a new bus driver and more volunteers. AARP will be doing tax prep at the Senior Citizen Center, but no real details were given. Council then went into executive session to discuss how to move forward with appointing a council member to replace Terry Johnson. And I don't know how, we didn't stay for the executive session, so I don't know how if they've chosen someone or not to replace him. The next question was basically kind of answered with the ARP money. Are there any pressing infrastructure needs on the township property that the trustees need to be aware of? Like the main building roof, parking lot. How's the township copier doing? Still okay with that?
It got jammed at our last meeting, but I haven't tried to use it since. Have
I
you?
figured it out.
What was it?
The paper. I don't know what kind of paper that it was. I've never seen that brand of paper before. But I went and bought a case of the type that I typically get because it was finally on sale again. And it's been fine ever since.
Okay. Was there still a paper jammed in there someplace?
Shauna, I think, actually got it. But when I was copying all of your sunshine, all the new stuff, it was awful. So I stopped halfway through and went and bought paper.
Yeah.
I'm planning on having a ride along with Chief Anzik soon, just to kind of see what the police is doing. And also, I'd like to have a ride along with Mr. Holbrook, just to survey what the township roads are doing. I'm kind of hoping he can show me, so you were going out for, snow removal, how you attack that.
Can you get up in the middle of the night?
I cannot. I will not.
I understand.
So the next, how can we better communicate with our residents, especially concerning upcoming meeting information? I think emails seem to be the most effective way, and certainly Mr. Houston does a good job of getting the emails out. But unfortunately, the email list, I think, for the fiscal officer is about 35 to 40 people. The police department, I think, is about 135. So really not a whole lot of residents are getting those emails when you consider that Shauna sends out, as she said, 1,120 trash bills every 3 months. So I'm sure that's the number of residences. So we're reaching 170 out of all that. Can we put one option, can we put a message on the trash bills to get residents to share their email to the fiscal officer or police department email list? I don't know. Go ahead.
There's also on our website.
On the website, no?
Yep, the subscribe on the front page, and I do have a lot of people that are subscribed. So every time.
So where do those names go to? They go to the police department email list, or?
No, so they're just a general township email list. Our website provider holds the list for us, like they store it. So when Mr. Houston sends anything that needs to go out to a list, that's the list that I send it to.
Must not be on that list, because I don't get those. Could you have me, please?
Is it Houston household?
That's my wife.
Well, she gets them.
Does she really?
She does. I just saw her email there today.
Well, what do you know?
You don't need.
But yes.
Houston, that everywhere.
If anybody emails me, then I can put their email in, or they can just go to our website and put their email in. And then they'll get all correspondence.
So yeah, I mean, that's certainly good if we can increase that, again, just to get the information out there. The other next question, do we have any way for assuring that residents attending meetings online can get recognized and can also ask questions during the meeting? So Jake and I had the method when I was online. I would flail my arms around, so it's really not the ideal way to do it.
It is not the ideal way to do it. And
I don't know of any other way to, since we don't have we don't have computers here, we can always send a message, but it has to be read by you, basically, and let us know.
right, so if they comment, it's going to show in that chat box that you can see in the bottom right corner of the screen. So that's what I look for during the meetings, but now, since we're here and not remote, it's not in front of my face, so I have to like turn around and check it.
I guess, we could try, and you guys are kind of face on there if you ever see something, because again, it's just kind of a difficult thing to be recognized, because if everybody's muted, we don't want to really unmute everybody, because then you get all the background noise, television kids.
If you're attending online though,
also,
Dr. Cross, you can't unmute yourself.
You can unmute yourself?
yeah.
I just did and interrupted you.
Thanks, Mark, I appreciate it. No problem.
It's what I do.
Oh, that's who MK is tonight.
Would you please state your name and address?
But yeah, they can also, I believe they can also raise their hand.
Okay, so
Which
they can unmute,
should show us,
Okay.
and they can unmute,
And
yeah.
we'll try to mention that during, before, when we have public comment the public comment portion of the meeting, so people know that they can unmute and ask questions again. The goal is to answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, just some zoning department updates. I have two issues the board needs to act on tonight. Back on 12/30/2020, the board set the terms of the BZA and zoning alternates at 2 years. According to ORC 519.04A for zoning alternates and ORC 519.13A for BZA alternates, those alternate members may vote on any matter on which the absent member is authorized to vote. I believe if the alternate members are given the same power as a sitting member when attending a meeting on behalf of an absent member, the alternate should have the same terms as a sitting member. I really don't know why it was changed from 5 years to 2 years. Because again, and Kurt can probably attest to this, every zoning commission meeting I've been, there haven't been 5 sitting members, so there's always been an alternate that has to step up. And so basically, I would like to introduce Resolution 2022-12. A resolution setting the terms of office for alternates on the zoning commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals at 5 years commencing immediately. You need any more explanation on that?
Are they going to be concurrent, 5 years? Or are they going to rotate as we do with the regular?
It really doesn't, they don't need to rotate being an alternate. So I think we should just have them all expire on 12/31/2026. That makes sense, 5 years.
So the two alternates expire at the same time.
Yeah, because, and they, you know, and an alternate, anybody on the boards can leave whenever they want, but it just gives us a terms, you know, gives them the knowledge that they're as valuable as the city members, which they are.
So I'll second that resolution.
Let me make sure I understand it. Effective January 1st, we're changing alternates, all alternates to expire 12/31/26 on both BZA and zoning commission. Okay. Any discussion of resolution 2022-12? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Dr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mr. Potter?
Yes.
Resolution 2022-12 is adopted.
Okay, the next issue, I spoke personally with Fred Glander on 1/6/2022, and he stated he wishes to serve another term on the German Township Zoning Commission. Mrs. Sewell has received confirmation that Mr. Walters on the Zoning Commission and Mr. Blakely and Mr. Cox on the German Township Board of Zoning Appeals also wish to serve another term. Therefore, I wish to introduce Resolution 2022-13.
That would not need a resolution.
Oh, it doesn't,
to appoint
okay.
members to the BZA.
Okay, just a motion to reappoint Mr. Glander, Mr. Walters, Mr. Blakely, and Mr. Cox.
I'll second.
Okay, sorry. Glander, Blakely, Cox, and somebody else. There were four?
Walters, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Walters.
Mr. Walters.
Glander, Blakely, Cox, and Walters, and I'll figure out which ones they go where. Okay, you seconded, Mr. Stubbs? Any discussion of the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sleepy.
Sorry?
I lied that, I added my eye to that.
Okay, so we vote
All
again.
ayes.
All right, the motion is approved.
As stated earlier, the Zoning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals will hold their reorganizational meeting tomorrow, 1/11/2022. I plan on addressing both boards and discussing some policy changes to consider. I will report back to the board on February on any changes. And finally, I have prepared an ad that will be in the 113 and 120 edition of the Germantown Press advertising for the open alternate zoning commission position, which is the position that opened when I was elected here. An identical ad will be placed on the German Township Facebook page and German Township webpage on 113. I request that all resumes come directly to me at my township email address. If you know of anyone interested, please have them submit their resumes. And all resumes will be due by 1/31/2022. So it gives them a couple weeks to get in. Hopefully, I'll be able to check those out and at the next meeting have someone to fill that position. So, questions? I think that's it.
I do have a couple of comments, answers to things, if that's okay. The water tower, they took it into consideration, but they're not going to use it. And then I don't know if you all saw this, but I copied, this came out of the Township magazine that I get every month. So I just made everybody a copy of it.
I think everybody gets a copy of that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Oh,
we don't get.
everybody does?
Yeah.
We're all
I just
members.
thought one, like,
All members get that.
gosh, well, fine, okay. my
Yeah,
bad.
thank you.
So that's all.
Is there any old business? Any new business?
I got a question.
David, go ahead. State your-
David Brown, 14239 Kiefer Road. I was on the township website and I was gonna send an email, but I didn't see an email address. I had the option of pushing a button or clicking a button to send an email. But I didn't find anywhere on the website where your township email address was listed. So if I was not on the website, I could still send an email to a township trustee.
Did you go to the zoning, or go to the trustee tab? Because on that, it'll have, you know, our email.
No, it has a place for me to send you an email, but it doesn't have your email address.
Oh, okay.
I saw. Am I mistaken?
You're not. So how I have it set up is underneath your picture, there's a send email button, and you just push that, and then it pops up whatever your preferred email is for you to send an email. And then when that pops up, your email is also in the to field. Like you're sending the
So
message
it would
to.
appear to me?
It will appear.
Okay.
When you actually click it to send the message, it'll show you there.
You have to send it to a certain trustee or?
So underneath your picture, it'll say send email.
Right.
So if I click the button under your picture, it'll send you an email.
Well, what if you just want to send one general? You guys pick a person?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I can change it, however you guys want it.
Well, I'd go ahead and put, if you can, just put our email address.
Right, so I can send it from my,
So it's there.
from someplace other than the website.
Right.
Dave, Mr. Garone, excuse me.
Dave's fine. We've known each other a while.
We're at a more of a public meeting. I just went on the website, I right-clicked, on where it says send an email, I right-clicked, and I copied the email address.
Yep.
Put it right into my
Okay,
account.
but I had to go to the email or township trustee or township website to get it.
Now, you can go,
And I right-clicked on send email, and your email address came up. Is that correct? Is that what you told me?
I went to the contact, I'm just looking at Mr. Potter right here. He has a contact me, hyperlink. Instead of clicking on with my left, I right-clicked, and I just copied email address,
Okay,
and then put it into my
got it.
Gmail account.
Good.
So then you have
There
the
is a
actual
way for me to
email.
get it.
You can get there, and you can see it then at that point.
Okay.
Rather than
I'll do
using the
that.
township's website to send the email.
If it's not too difficult, can you go ahead and just have the
Yeah, so on the,
address?
there's a contact info tab or page. I can just list it there. That's what you guys
Yeah,
want?
that would be
Yep.
fine, yeah.
Okay.
Make
Just
it
list
easy.
all of ours.
I think, you know, hopefully within the next, we can look at the webpage and look at Facebook and see how, ways we can improve those to make it easier.
Definitely, yeah, and if anybody ever has any input on that, just,
I still would like to see a hyperlink to our YouTube channel.
it is there.
I cannot find it.
It is on the home page about halfway down.
You go to it again.
It's a little red circle with a little play button for YouTube. That's the logo.
Well, my compliments on the website. It's done well, and I appreciate it. As a user, and I used to program HMIs, and you do a good job. So,
You're kidding. That little red circle is what it, why don't you label it? My wife
Label
wanted
with
to
a
watch
picture.
the video of the one that she couldn't get any sound the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't know where to go, so I said, just go to YouTube and search under German Township.
Oh my gosh.
So that little tiny,
Yeah, it doesn't let me make it any bigger.
no, but you could put a,
And then there's also a Facebook link there too.
I see the face, and I knew what Facebook was.
You guys want to get an Instagram?
I don't think that's necessary.
All right, if that is all business, can I have a
Oh,
motion?
he's got one more question.
I got another question. We have had some discussions about broadband for people who can't have it now. And almost everybody has a telephone, so has it been considered to talk about DSL for everyone?
I'll try to contact, it's consolidated to new ownership. I do have that.
I thought that might be an avenue
Sure, yeah.
around a big rock here. We got
Yeah,
to.
in our, you know, if they are planning on sometime putting fiber in, that would be a
That works, too.
bridge to that, because again, we did check into that. You can get it's a dedicated line or whatever, they come out.
Bonded line.
Bonded line.
Well, I think the problem is not consolidated customers, it's Frontier. Because there's a ton of people in the western portion of the township that are not served by Consolidated, and Consolidated cannot cross that line into their territory. into Frontier. Frontier's equipment, from what I understand, is
Pretty bad.
beyond antiquated.
Farmersville had it for a while.
Yeah, it was actually, Verizon had it for a short amount.
Well, anyway, it is a thought, to try to help people who are behind.
Huge issue.
What about Elon's internet?
It's not here yet.
Not here yet. And also, expense-wise, you gotta give people something that they can afford. They don't know, satellite.
Right.
$500.
Pay a premium for it.
$400 a month.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'll continue to work on that, hopefully get some answers, at least, we know either way. Yeah, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.